Attention passionate Atlanta, Falcons fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC South and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Atlanta Falcons' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Atlanta Falcons fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Atlanta, FALCONS. Let's get to the news, folks. What we're seeing right now in the NFL, especially in the NFC South, is nothing short of seismic. And if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, you know how crucial this moment is. We're talking about roster moves, trade rumors, and strategic decisions that could reshape the division, and more importantly, the Falcons' quest for a Super Bowl title. And yes, it involves one of the most electrifying pass rushers on the market today, Trey Hendrickson. Now, let's take a deep dive into what's happening, how it could affect Atlanta, and what this all means for the upcoming season. Because, trust me, this is one of those stories that could define the Falcons' future for years to come. So, it all starts with the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that's been in a bit of a holding pattern these past few months. After an intense playoff run, they're now entering what could be a transitional period, and they're facing some tough decisions. Two of the biggest decisions involved their star receivers, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. The Bengals front office decided that keeping those two together long-term was essential. They've been pivotal for their offense, and locking them up was a priority. That's a huge win for Cincinnati because having that dynamic duo at receiver is a cornerstone for any championship team. But while the offense seems to be set, the real question marks are on the defensive side, especially when it comes to pass rushers. And that brings us to Trey Hendrickson. Hendrickson, for those who follow the NFL closely, has been a key player for Cincinnati. Over the past few years, he's been a one-man wrecking crew on the edge, consistently generating pressure, forcing quarterback hurried throws, and racking up sacks. His presence on that defensive line has been a big reason why the Bengals have been so competitive. But here's the kicker. Hendrickson is now in the final year of his contract, and the Bengals are facing a tricky decision. They want to keep him, no doubt, but negotiations haven't gone smoothly. Hendrickson has been seeking a lucrative extension, and reports have indicated that Cincinnati has given him permission to explore a trade if a deal isn't reached soon. This news sent ripples through NFL circles. A player of Hendrickson's caliber, at 31 years old, is in high demand, and a trade seems like an option the Bengals are seriously considering. And naturally, the Atlanta Falcons emerged as a potential landing spot. Now, why would Atlanta want Trey Hendrickson? Well, let's be honest, our pass rush in 2024 left a lot to be desired. Last season, the Falcons struggled to generate consistent pressure on quarterbacks, and that's reflected in our stats. We ranked near the bottom of the league in points allowed per game, giving up roughly 24.9 points on average. That's not good enough if we want to compete deep into the playoffs. Hendrickson, with his relentless motor and proven ability to disrupt defenses, would be an instant upgrade over some of our current pass rushers, including Grady Jarrett. At 31, Jarrett is still a respected presence on the line, but last season he only managed 25 sacks, which is far below his best years. Since 2019, he hasn't surpassed 6 sacks in a season, and that's a trend the Falcons simply cannot afford to ignore if they want to solidify their pass rush. Hendrickson, on the other hand, has been a consistent threat. His ability to get to the quarterback has been notable, and pairing him with the young talent we already have could create a formidable front that opposing offenses would fear. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. A trade for Hendrickson. It's not that simple, and trust me, there are hurdles. The Bengals reportedly have a high asking price. Rumors suggest they want a first-round pick in return. That's a lot for a player who's in his early 30s, even if he's still performing at a high level. The Falcons have learned some tough lessons from past trades involving veteran pass rushers, like when we sent a third-round pick to New England for Matthew Judon last year. Judon has been a solid addition, but Atlanta has become more cautious about giving up too much for aging stars, especially when it involves a premium draft pick. Adding to that, the financial side makes this complicated. Hendrickson would likely want a significant contract extension, which would mean a hefty salary cap hit for the Falcons. Considering Atlanta's current cap situation, that's a factor that can't be ignored. The front office has to weigh whether the potential boost on defense justifies the cost, both in terms of draft capital and salary commitments. And here's where it gets interesting. The Bengals, for now, are still negotiating with Hendrickson, and there's hope that a deal could be struck without needing to part ways with a first-rounder. If Cincinnati's asking price drops, or if they're willing to accept a different kind of compensation, the door could open for Atlanta or other teams to step in. But as it stands, this trade remains a long shot. The odds are stacked against it with Cincinnati's high valuation and Atlanta's current roster priorities. Still, the NFL is unpredictable, and these player movements can happen quickly when the right deal comes along. So what does this all mean for the Falcons? Well, it's about upgrading a key facet of our team, pass rush, something we've been trying to improve for a while now. Hendrickson's addition could bring instant impact, help us close out games better, and give our defense a whole new dimension. But it also highlights the strategic approach our front office is taking, being aggressive but cautious, looking for ways to improve without overextending financially or giving up too much draft capital. It's a delicate balancing act, and it's precisely why we're all so eager to see how this unfolds in the coming weeks. Looking ahead, the Falcons are clearly aware of the importance of bolstering their defense, especially on the edge. The NFC South continues to evolve, with rival teams making big moves to challenge Atlanta's dominance. We saw how last season's struggles on defense limited our potential, especially in high-stakes games. Improving that unit could be the key to finally getting over the playoff hump and making a serious run for the Super Bowl. The addition of a player like Hendrickson would send a strong message to the division and to the league. Atlanta means business. Of course, we all know that the NFL offseason is full of surprises. Sometimes, the biggest moves happen when you least expect them. The Falcons have been strategic in their approach, and while a trade for Hendrickson might seem unlikely right now, things can change quickly. The front office may decide to wait, see how negotiations unfold, or focus on other avenues to strengthen the roster. But the fact that we're even talking about Hendrickson in the Falcons, context shows how serious the team is about improving the pass rush and competing at the highest level. And for us, the fans, it's an exciting time. We've seen glimpses of what this team can become, and with some key additions, the sky's the limit. The NFC South is still very much up for grabs, and the Falcons are positioning themselves to be a dominant force once again. We're watching every move, analyzing every rumor, and dreaming of a season where our team finally breaks through that glass ceiling and makes a real Super Bowl push. The upcoming weeks will be crucial, and we'll be here to keep you updated with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis. Because at the end of the day, we all share that passion, supporting the Falcons through thick and thin, hoping for that championship run that's been a long time coming. And now, Atlanta Falcons fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think a trade for Trey Hendrickson could happen? Would you be willing to part with a first-round pick for that kind of impact player? Or do you think the Falcons should focus on other avenues to improve the defense? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Falcons. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Atlanta Falcons news. Because this team, this division, and this league are always full of surprises, and we're here to bring you every single one of them.